Now tonight we're going to be staying at the historic Plains Inn. The interesting thing about this place is, yes, this town is known for peanuts and Jimmy Carter, but there's a lot of history here. And this building was a lot of things before it was an inn. So there's a lot of interesting things and notable things to show you in here, but we have the place pretty much to ourselves, and I want to share a little bit of the history with you and kind of give you a feel for what this place is all about. So let's go take a look. Oh, we are going in. Lock up when I'm done here. So you can either take the elevator up or you can take the stairs. So this building has been around for a long time, and there's a lot of history, obviously, of Jimmy Carter, and Jimmy Carter spent a lot of time in this building as a young kid, and in more recent years. There is a portrait of him right there. Now this place is a really nice place, but it's got a little bit of a creepy feel to it. The people running this place are absolutely awesome, but we're going to head in. Here we are. So here is the story. This hotel, this room, there are pictures all over the place of Jimmy Carter sitting right here, of Jimmy Carter spending time over here. He's held donor meet and greets, he's contest winners, the Plains Peanut Festival. Every year when they had the Plains Peanut Festival, Jimmy Carter would stand out here on the balcony and wave at people and speak from the balcony, talk to people down there. But the interesting thing is that he also had a room here. Him and Rosalind Carter, they had a big hand in putting this place together and decorating it. But there is a room in this inn for each decade that Jimmy Carter was alive. Now the interesting part of this is that the suite in here is the 1970s room, which was the decade he was president. Now this is the room right here where Jimmy Carter used for a lot of different purposes, and one of them was that this is the room that Jimmy would use to give interviews. There were several interviews where Jimmy Carter was in this room and giving interviews. Now, I'll give you a little bit of a room tour. Here's the bathroom. So it's pretty obvious that being that they spent a good amount of time in here, they gave interviews in here, they did a lot of things in here. This is a room that seems to be fairly heavily used by him when he was alive. And this bed is super high, so I'm not sure how it wouldn't have been easy to get up on there if you're a short or an elderly person. But the floors are a little creaky, but this is a really awesome room. It's like there's a nice piece of china here. It says that this vanity is a true period piece. Origin is either American or English. It was used in Old Paris Hotel. Now, aside from Jimmy Carter history here, this place used to be a funeral parlor, and some of these rooms were used as embalming rooms. And I'm going to take you and show you something that is a little bit creepy. The housekeeper that was in here just a little bit ago asked me if I would be afraid to be in here, because I am actually staying here by myself tonight. There are no other rooms booked tonight, and that is a rarity. So they let me have this room, which this room is not always on the rotation. Here's a picture of Carter. And there's also a picture right here of Jimmy and Rosalind. But like I said, this is a place where Jimmy would spend a little bit of time. They have one of his personal photo albums right here, where else can you stay in a hotel that actually has a casket lift? Now, this might be the most interesting thing, aside from the fact that this place was actually used by a former president. Right here, the history of the elevator. This hand-operated elevator, still completely serviceable, was used to move a large stock of caskets and to bring cadavers upstairs to be embalmed. That is pretty awesome. Now, I happened to find this interview that he did a few years ago, and this was one of the last taped interviews I think he ever did. He did it right here in this room, right on this carpet, and he was sitting in this chair. Now, take a look at this.
I think they'd love to know what, especially couples who have been through what the two of you have been through. What's
There's the chair.
When you don't see eye to eye on something,
that chair.
Patch it back together.
This was the rug.
Back in the day, we tried to become reconciled and overcome all the differences.
He was basically sitting right. They were both sitting right here.
Make up and give each other shit.
I don't know. I'm one of those weird people that I just think that that's kind of cool. And then if you fast forward to this,
It was difficult for the two of you.
right here, if you see that light and these books, that's the light, and those are those two books. So they pretty much used the this room the way that it was. They didn't seem to dress it up too much. That this piece of furniture right here is actually what the TV is in. Exactly the same. So I think that that's kind of cool that I'm actually staying in the room tonight that President Carter and his wife actually gave this interview in. So maybe that makes me kind of twisted, but that's okay. Now, one more thing I want to show you, and they leave this right here on the bed. And when you open it up, the first page, it says 1970s Room Experiences. And this book was from 2023, but there's people put in stuff before that. February 3rd to the 5th of 2023, Paranormal Society of Savannah stayed in all 7 rooms. The staff was amazing. We captured lots of evidence of paranormal activity here and also at several other locations. Please visit our Facebook page or website. Thank you all. I can't really read that signature, or not sure who that is, but that was the first page inside the journal for this room. So I thought that was kind of cool. Now, that was a short and goofy kind of video, but I like the history of, obviously, the fact that this was a room that was used by a president, the fact that it's a historic hotel. This place is really old. There's a lot of history, a lot of, it's just interesting to look around because it still looks like you're staying in a place right out of the 1940s. So aside from that, the fact that it also may be haunted, the paranormal people have stayed here and done investigations here, and I am kind of curious now to look up and see what they found and what they did here. But, just kind of interesting, and I wanted to show you what things look like here, and it kind of gives you a little bit of background into a little bit more about Jimmy Carter and his hometown of Plains. So this is a really cool town. People here are just absolutely phenomenal, very friendly, very hospitable, warm and welcoming. I highly recommend a visit here for anybody that hasn't been. So other than that, that's pretty much all I have for today. So thank you so much for watching, and we'll catch you on the next video. Take care, everybody.